Excited, right? Because again, I know. Okay, yeah, this is what I need. This is what we need. Because you guys have me again for the next presentation too. So that means that you guys got to give me something. I need something from you guys, okay? And that's participation is what I'm needing, okay? So I don't want to be that person that runs around and puts a microphone in front of your face and says, it's your turn to talk. Can't promise if you don't give me anything, that's not what I'm going to do. Okay? Okay, I'm going to try and not look behind me, but that is very difficult. Am I on the next slide? Woo! Okay, so does this, guys, I don't know. I don't know how your guys' presentations printed out, but I tried to do them in black and white, but like I have giant black boxes, so I can't see anything on mine. So hopefully your guys is printed out better. Okay, you did yours. Okay, yours printed out good. I must have just did something wrong. So, okay, does this slide look familiar? We went over this multiple times because, again, it's so important to realize that we need both the auditor and the treasurer because of segregation of duties and how it's outlined in statute. So you guys both have very important jobs. And you guys know that you're involved in the reconciling process, right? Because why? Yes, okay, I love it. See, thank you for giving me something. Okay, this presentation is my present to you, so that's all I have to give you. We did have some squishies at the table. Did anyone grab one of our squishies? None of you grabbed a squishy? That makes me so sad. We don't have very many, so you better go get one, okay? Not during this presentation. I should have brought some up here to throw at you guys, and then you guys would have been like, yes! Okay. But we know how important both of you are, okay? The auditor, again, you guys are the fiscal officer. You guys are the record keeper. We have the treasurer. They're the investment officer, custodian of the county money, they receive and deposit the money into the treasury. So again, we understand why it's so important to have both of you. Not saying one is better than the other, but at treasurer's conference, I gave this exact same presentation because again, when you think about what the treasurer does, they have a lot of reconciling to do, but you guys are just the book. But their reconcilement's not complete without you guys, okay? That's why it's so important because they can reconcile, but if they're not reconciling the bank to the book, are we really reconciled? No, we're not. And someone's gonna go, that's not right, you guys are off, and that's how mistakes get made. So remember, you're both very important. We need both sides. And like Ricky and I always say, teamwork makes the dream work, okay? So make it work and reconcile, okay? So, next slide. Perfect, okay. So I wanted to point out, because again, I said you guys are the record keeper. You guys are the book. So I like to call you guys the book, treasurer the bank, okay? So you guys keep the official record. The auditor shall keep an accurate account current with the county treasurer whenever a receipt given by the treasurer for money paid into the county treasury is deposited with the auditor shall file the treasurer's receipt, charge the treasurer with the amount of the treasurer's receipt, and issue the auditor's own receipt to the person presenting the treasurer's receipt. So again, this statute dictates how you guys are the official record, okay? You guys maintain that, you guys are the book. Reversely, how many auditors are in here have been treasurers? Okay, so you guys know, am I on the next slide? Ooh, okay. I'm gonna ask every time to make sure you're awake. You guys know, again, those that have been treasurers, that you guys are to maintain your own record as well, that we talk about as the cash book, okay? So IC 36-2-10-15 states the treasurer shall maintain separate accounts of receipts and expenditures from each specific county fund or appropriation and a general account of all county receipts and expenditures. The treasurer may not enter into the treasurer's accounts money received for taxes charged on the duplicate of the current year under the treasurer's settlement for the money under IC 6-1.1-27. This statute, again, I know you can all read, but I think it's important to say there's 2 statutes. The first one that we went over is to say what the auditor shall maintain. The treasurer is also designated to maintain a record for themselves as well. That's why they keep the cash book. That's why they have to reconcile it. So again, you guys are both very, very important. I'm not going to pick favorites. Even if I had children, I think I would, but I'm not going to pick favorites, okay? So, keeping this in mind, both of you maintain records. And I want to talk a little bit. I know that I have beat to death the receipting process. I can't see it on my slides. Is it on here? Okay. So I was like, okay, let's detail out the receipting process. Can anyone tell it to me without looking at the slides? You guys know it, right? So for receipting, statute provides that the auditors shall keep an accurate account. Again, the record we just talked about. So you guys are the fiscal officer, you maintain the record, current with the county treasurer, and issue the quietus. The quietus is the official document that a receipt has been posted to the funds ledger. The receipting process states that the auditor and the quietus is the basis for posting the receipt and to the appropriate fund. At the time the treasurer takes the custody of the funds, the 2 offices must agree, which means what is posted to the funds ledger must be accounted for in the treasury and maintained by the treasurer. Isn't that crazy how there's a check and balance? Because you both are so important and we need each other, okay? So, similar with the dispersing process. Oh, thank you, Lori. Man, I love Lori. Who doesn't, right? Let's give her. Drop my remote. Okay, so for the dispersing process, I cannot read anything on my slide. I said I wasn't going to look back, but I needed to. Okay, so the auditor reviews all claims filed against the county funds and issues the warrants for payment. A warrant is not a check. A warrant is an order to pay, and that warrant is provided to the treasurer, who will then make the payment, whether by check, electronic payment of some sort, okay? I feel like we've said this a lot to you guys because, again, we had the whole debacle about, okay, auditors can't initiate anything, and then kind of having those segregations between both offices, who can initiate, who can't. We've talked about this a lot, okay? So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the dispersing process because I really want to go to reconciling. Do I see Ricky in here yet? No. Okay. Okay, so for reconciling. How many of you reconcile with the treasurer every single month? Okay, I don't see all your hands up. Okay, I'm just gonna assume it's you guys, it's the people that you brought with you that didn't raise their hands, okay? So we're assuming all the auditors in the room raised their hands. That's my assumption, okay? And there's what, 74 of you, 72 of you, I think, something like that, which is a great turnout. So, okay, you guys are reconciling every single month. Is there anybody willing to tell me how, in the auditor's office, you reconcile every single month and tell me that process from start to finish? Nobody? Come on. Y'all said you reconcile with the treasurer every single month. So come on, I just need a little bit of something. Nobody? Ricky, they're not wanting to participate. Oh, Lori, right here. She's making it easy. Yeah, Paula, I see you raising your hand. But it was like a pity wave, okay? It wasn't like a,
hey, we will take whatever we can get.
I'm going to preface this by saying we were written up for not doing it right, so giving me the microphone may not have been your best choice.
It's fine. Hey, comments are not bad. They just bring a spotlight to where there might be a deficiency or if something's being missed. So it doesn't mean you're doing it wrong.
No, I was doing it wrong.
Okay, she was...
I 100% was doing it wrong.
Okay, you tell me what you're doing now, or you can tell me what you were doing wrong and how you fixed it if you'd like.
Yes, so before I was not as timely as the treasurer would like me to be on reconciling. So she would bring me the reports that were necessary, and I would make sure the numbers matched and sign off. She signed off, and it was done. What I didn't realize was she was only running her reports, so we weren't really reconciling at all.
Okay.
So now she runs her report, I run my report, so the funds and then the finance, and then we check to make sure the numbers match. If they don't match, we find where they're off because it's probably something that's going to show up on the second of the next month. And then we both initial it, and she keeps a copy and I keep a copy.
Okay, perfect. So basically, again, I know it's kind of heard. I think her voice is a little damaged. She's having too much fun. But what she was saying was again, she wasn't being timely. The treasurer would bring her the treasurer's reports and have her reconcile that way. It's not really reconciling. It's just from the treasurer's office. It's not taking into account the funds ledger. You're actually a perfect example. I feel like I set this up perfectly. But what she's doing now is she's actually running her reports as she should be, because she's, again, the book, and she's reconciling with the treasurer on the Form 61. If there are variances, they're figuring out what the variances are and then making the corrections. Did I summarize that appropriately? Perfect. Okay. So, does anyone in the back, Ricky, behind you. Go for it.
Okay, so hi, I'm Mary with Hancock County, and how our whole reconciling process works is that on month-end day, we usually will cut off early so that we have time to balance. So we'll usually cut off at like 1 o'clock, and I'll give the treasurer a little bit of time to make sure she's pulled everything over. And we use Lau's financial software, both for the auditor and the treasurer's side. So the treasurer will run her report, and then there's a report in Lau called the Financial versus Fund Ledger Report. And that report on the right-hand side has a column that tells you if you're out of balance or not. And there'll be a little check mark in that. So I look at that report, go through it, make sure all the funds are in balance with the treasurer. I'll print my report. I save that report and note what day we balanced on, and then the treasurer will have us sign off on her report. She will complete the Form 61 and upload that, and then we use this financial versus fund ledger report as our proof that we balance, that we upload every month in Gateway.
That's very detailed. Do a lot of you institute like a cutoff time so there is really no timing issues? Or do just some people do that? Who institutes like a cutoff so that you guys can reconcile? Okay, who doesn't? Okay, for those that don't, do you typically have more variances, or is it kind of no, not really? Okay, it doesn't create any more problems. I was just curious. Okay, so I appreciate you guys for giving me something, so I'm going to give you something else, more of my presentation. You're welcome. So, again, both auditor and treasurer prepare monthly reports, and funds ledgers need to be reconciled between the two offices, the Form 61. Like we stated, if only one office is doing it and the other office isn't running reports, or they're not reconciling with the other one, this could create an audit result and comment. Again, I think I only noted one of those in the reports that I reviewed. I don't know if it was your county. I'm not going to call you out, but I don't know if it was you. I can't remember. But again, it seems like most of you are doing this. But my question is, do you guys know when the Form 60, like when you guys reconcile with the treasurer, do you know if that's at the beginning of their reconcilement process, or do they come to you at the end? Does anyone know the answer to that question? No? Oh, behind you, Paula.
Since they don't typically sometimes match this report to their cash book, I don't think it matters at what point they're doing it.
Well, technically,
I'm just telling you what I see.
Well, in theory, there is the line on the Form 61, and that's what they should be reconciling to on the cash book.
Paula's very aware.
But you're not seeing it. Okay. So, what do you think we can do to fix that? Has anyone had that to where you're constantly not reconciling and you guys have come up with a way to reconcile? Do they involve you in any part of their reconciling process, or do they just shove the paper in your face? I just need something, because I don't know. I'm just trying to understand. And Ricky, we got one back here in red. Red sweatshirt.
If everyone gets along, it helps. But we have put into place, I used to be a head bookkeeper and treasurer, so I used to do that end of it. And now I'm over in the auditors, I'm chief deputy. So the auditor and the chief in our office has gotten together with the treasurer and the chief in their office, and we require that the head bookkeeper, assistant bookkeeper, and head bookkeeper and treasurers get with the head bookkeeper and the auditors. They all have to reconcile on a weekly basis. They reconcile for the week on Monday morning for the week before, and they sign off on it. And then they have to print all the documentation and scan it in and email it to all four of us.
Okay. So you guys are kind of instituting more reconciliations so that you can catch variances before they become a bigger snowball of problems.
Yeah, and then I also have informed my head bookkeeper she's not to sign off on it, and if it does not match, and I don't want it signed until it matches.
Yeah, what's the point
And
of signing
if it
off?
is not going to match and it does have to offset the following month, then there has to be written documentation of what it is, how it's fixed, when it'll offset.
Man, that sounds beautiful. I love that. Okay. Yes. Beautiful. Okay.
Okay, so our previous treasurers, were not doing things correctly. We've gone through a lot of pains to get going how we are now. So we reconcile daily.
Okay.
We cut off mid-afternoon, and we do what we call a closeout. We take everything, we run a report, sign it, make sure it matches our cash that we've brought in, and the disbursements, make sure that on that disbursement report, we have all of our dockets, and any adjustments we do, we take to the treasurers, and then they do what they do from there. That way, when it comes, maybe the next day, they'll come back and say, we're off this much. Well, we know it had to be something from that previous day. And this works really well. So then come at the end of the month, everything's already matches, balanced. We just check and sign off, and we're done. So nothing takes really more than 10 minutes, really, a day, if that.
Yeah, that sounds
And so
really
this
nice.
has been working fabulous for our county.
That sounds beautiful too.
And 9 times out of 10, what we're off may just be we did an adjustment, a claim adjustment wrong,
Yeah.
or something that's very easy to find and fix right then and there.
Because it was a day.
Yeah, it was a day. It's much easier to find those whenever it is a day. Thank you. Beautiful. I love that. Daily reconciling. Okay, go ahead.
So something else I was going to add, we have a report on LAO. They kick out the funds ledger and then the financial ledger or whatever. Both treasurer and auditor can see those reports, and you can see if there's, and you can look at that daily if you want after they get everything posted to know. But when you get to the end of the month, usually we run it, and both offices run their own. They look at the balance, make sure they're right, they sign off and compare, and then we upload it to Gateway, what we've got to show that we've looked at it, and the treasurer does their own. But I also take that, the treasurer does a monthly report like the clerk does that they have to give to the commissioners and everything, and the auditor, and there's a place on there that has a funds ledger balance. So I may get that 10, 15 days, whatever, after, because of some of the reconciliation statements we get from some of our bond banks and stuff. So when I get that, I also take that back and look at that monthly report that the girls have already balanced to make sure that matches.
Okay, perfect.
Because I have found in the past, it's been years ago, that there was something there that we were balancing monthly with our funds to their funds, but it showed up with the bank stuff that we didn't know about.
Okay,
So then that's something else, but we do it monthly though,
yeah,
normally within the first week unless somebody's off or something, but yeah.
perfect. Okay, awesome.
Okay, I've only been there 3 months now, but Our treasurer doesn't bring us anything. I balance with our Lao funds report
Paula,
that
that
Lao
does
provides. But she even brings us her daily reports 7 and 8 at a time. She doesn't even do her daily reports.
Okay.
Timely, I should say.
Okay, so we're having a timely issue. So anyone who wants to give her some tips and tricks, how did you guys fix that? Anybody? No? Someone's got to help her out. I don't.
Our treasurer got voted out, so.
Oh, okay, so maybe the new treasurer will fix the problem, and maybe you could. Again, she has this. You have this presentation, and she has the other one. It's available on our website. The new one. If she wants to call us, ask about how to get you guys, because do you guys carry a variance because you guys aren't reconciling timely, or
Not on our Lao system. On our Lao system, the report I run balances. So.
okay. So you look like you balance. Okay. We're just not 100% sure that we do. Okay. So I really appreciate you guys giving me way more than I wanted. And I love that. It's like you guys gave me a lot of information and I love that. I can never have enough. But I want to talk about how it's so important to do this Form 61. Okay. Paula, don't say anything when I say this statement, okay? The Form 61, the other Paula, the Form 61 should be being done at the beginning of their reconcilement process, okay? In theory, if everything is working magical and beautiful and it's all coming out together, the Form 61 should be done before they're fully reconciling the cash book, because it should be included on the reconcilement at the bottom of the cash book. There's one little line for the funds ledger, and that should come from the Form 61. It should come over and it should tie perfectly after you bring everything together. And I'm just imagining a cash book in my head. And so, sorry, that's why I'm drawing a box. A big box. It's a very big box. But in theory, that's how it should be being done. So I appreciate you guys telling me kind of like how you guys do it. And again, I think daily, weekly reconciling, I think those things can make reconciling the Form 61 much easier. But again, with issues having smaller offices, less people, it's harder to hire individuals. Sometimes reconciling that frequently can't be done. So we need to figure out like, okay, if that's not the case and we're reconciling monthly, that's the only time, which I hope not. But if that's all that you have, then let's make sure that we're reconciling appropriately and you guys are working together. So I want to talk about the cash book a little bit. So I tried to set it up. Again, I didn't want to put a giant photo of the cash book on here. So I just put some bullet points. And if, again, I don't know. When you guys get information from the treasurer, who gets a copy of the cash book? You guys probably don't, right? Oh, you do? Okay. So some treasurers just give it to them and say, hey, look, this is what I have. This is the reconciliation. And you can see it. You can see where the numbers pull from. And it brings the whole picture together. So sometimes if you're not seeing the cash book, it's kind of hard to see how it's all coming together. Because again, you guys are two pieces that make a whole. It's very kumbaya, isn't it? And so, again, we need you both because book and bank to reconcile. So let's talk about the cash book, since a lot of you are not getting a copy of the cash book, which I get it. You don't necessarily need it. But the left side contains all of the charges. So tax collections, other sources, and that funds ledger line that I was talking about. And whenever I say it's a line in like a lot of lines. So it's just a very little line. And if you don't know where it's at, you'll skip right over it. So it's just this little bitty piece at the bottom. And then the right side contains all of the credits. So deposits, investments, specific investments include specific funds should be on the investment ledger. Investments of all funds would be on the funds ledger, and then cash on hand. So if we're not reconciling all of these things, so everything that's, again, held on the cash book, but not in the financial system, everything that's held in the financials, all of this comes together on this cash book, and then that's how you should see that they're fully reconciled. So whenever we perform, like during audits, when we reconcile, that's why we go, okay, hey, treasurer, we need your information. We need to perform a reconcilement But you're not fully reconciled until we say, hey, auditor, I need your funds ledger to pull it all together so we can fully reconcile you. So, my favorite thing to talk about, segregation of duties. Again, you guys are very important. When the auditor posts to the ledger, it should not automatically post to the treasurer's side. That doesn't happen, right? They're separate. So we can't have that. It can't be entered here, goes over here. There needs to be that delineation, that segregation of duties. The auditor should not have access to the bank accounts. Again, we've talked about this. Not going to bring it up unless someone really wants to, because okay, someone wants to bring it up. Just over here.
Hold on.
It's okay. I know that we're getting better and we're understanding, but
Which one of you wanted it? I saw it. How is it that we shouldn't have access to the bank account if we have to upload ACHs and payroll?
it's the initiating the payments is what you can have read-only. Oh, I got some feedback. If the treasurer wants you to have like read-only access, you 100% can, but you shouldn't be able to initiate those payments and approve them.
Okay, so when you're talking about doing payroll, what you're really doing is you are uploading it to the bank, and that's fine. It can't leave the bank because you set it to. So it has to go in for the treasurer to say. What she's talking about, it's not necessarily what we're saying, access. You shouldn't be able to move money in a bank account. That is what she's talking about. So everything that you're doing is part of it. The treasurer comes in and then initiates it to go out. That's what we're trying. So sometimes what was happening is after payroll, the auditor was uploading it and it was just going out. And the treasurer wasn't seeing that. And so that was part of it.
I was basically talking about looking to see if a check cleared. We have somebody call in the office, say, we hadn't got paid, the payment went out 2 months ago. To be able to look in the bank account and see if that's cleared instead of having to go next door.
So that's a county decision. We would just say it'd be read-only access. They won't let you have read-only access that you could look it up, you could. Yeah.
Treasurer decision, or is it a county decision?
I'm going to say it's probably treasurer. It's theirs. I mean, unfortunately.
You guys are really mumbling. Do we need to keep talking about it? We can. I mean, I don't care. I know it's a thing, and we're trying to resolve it. I think we've been trying to resolve it for like 2 years. So we can... Oh, longer? Okay, well, I've only been in this position 2 years, so I've only been in the fight for 2 years. Okay, Lori's like, it's been a battle. But, okay, so we understand kind of why, right? They're whispering. I'm just going to read the next line on the PowerPoint. The treasurer should not be able to initiate the claims process. So again, not letting them have the ability to start a claim. Okay, that makes sense. You guys are going to love my next slide. Paula, don't laugh at this one. Teamwork, okay? The treasurer maintains custody of the cash. The auditor maintains the funds ledger, again, book and bank. Both auditor and treasurer prepare a monthly report and funds ledger and need to be reconciled between the two offices. Is it on the right slide? Okay. I think so. Me too.
I was in a conversation.
I know
Sorry.
you were having a side conversation. It's fine. But again, we can preach teamwork to you guys all the time. But again, you guys are the ones that like really make it work. So again, you both have to reconcile. And I guess I do have a question. So when reconciling, it should be done monthly. Some of you do it much more. That's great. You guys are doing amazing. You both should be reconciling, and it should be uploaded on Gateway. But only one office needs to. So my question is, how many auditors upload it? Do you guys know if your treasurer uploads it as well? Or do you guys talk about the uploading process?
Yeah, so the treasurer uploads it on the treasurer section of Gateway, and then on the auditor's monthly upload, it says Form 61. So we have to also upload it.
It's only required to be uploaded once for the county. So do you guys have a conversation, or do you just say, I'm going to make sure I upload it?
We both upload it on both of our
Yeah.
Okay, you both upload.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is only really required once to be up there, but if you don't know, then you're better to just do it in both.
Yes.
It's not going to be a ding. But there was a question about that. Paula said, did you get dinged because you didn't upload the signed copy? Okay, I wonder if, just hear me out here. So the only reason you would sign it is really the control, right? Because it was done. I mean, that's really what that represents. So my guess is the finding was probably there wasn't any documented control, that it was actually reviewed and not printed out, which is probably why you got it. You shouldn't be written up just because you upload it. Now, because some of you could have like an email, right? Like the treasurer sends an email to the auditor and says, hey, I've reviewed this, these look good. That would be your control. You could upload the document without the signature. When they come in for audit, you could say, yeah, that's not our control. Our control was this email. Make sense?
So how many upload without the signature? I'm just curious. Or do you guys upload, okay, how many upload with the signed copy? Okay.
How many have controls in place that
All
are
of your
documented? I mean, everybody should be like me.
If you don't, I'm going to talk for an hour this afternoon.
Or we're going to sick Lori on you.
We're going to sick Lori on you. That's why we brought her. Okay. Okay. Am I on the reconciling slide? Okay. So again, we talked about variances. How many of you have a variance right now that you haven't fixed? Oh, you raised your hand. Okay. Come see us. We'll talk to you. Okay. We're going to talk to her. But if we have variances, we need to make sure that they're fixed. You need to investigate those. Look for the differences within the funds, receipts, disbursements, balances. Take into consideration voided checks, fund transfers, ACH transactions that are reconciled. So please don't just leave it on there to eternity until you leave office and say, I have a variance. I didn't want to fix it. Bye. Please don't do that. Okay. Does anyone have questions? Because I think my next slide's a thank you slide. Yeah, it is. I didn't put any pictures of my kid in there because he's like been running around. So I figured you guys had seen him at some point. So questions, comments, concerns. Is there anything I didn't touch on that maybe you would like to hear in the future? No? Covered it perfectly?
I only want to add that, as Paula said, with the treasurer, the funds ledger. I know, right? I know, I'm sorry. But this is kind of what has spurred this on, is we know that the cash book isn't necessarily represented in what's on their funds ledger. And so we're trying to do an order of reconcilement. And really, when they should start their monthly reconcilement with you, right? Because they can't move forward until their funds ledger and your funds ledger agrees. So that's kind of what had spurred this on. So the timeliness of your reconcilement is important, because they really can't reconcile all the way through until they reconcile to you. How's it?
So reconcile. Yes.